video for Stories Behind the Stars to let people know how they can use the newspapers.com website to help them with their research. Now, if you already joined the Stories Behind the Stars officially, we're able to get you a free membership to the newspapers.com website. So if you don't have that yet, be sure you visit storiesbehindthestars.org and find out how we can get you that membership, because it's definitely very useful when you're doing research about the fallen. We're going to use the example of Austin Goff from the 14th Armored Division. As usual, we usually start with information from Find a Grave. In this case, people have saved a couple of newspaper clippings, as you can see there. But when I was researching Austin Goff, I went to newspapers.com, signed in, and when you do that, you put in the state that he was in. So he's born in West Virginia, died in Ohio, so we'd want to check both of those states. I usually use the time frame of 1940 to 1949. Just 1940 would be they're still adult enough that there may be some stories about them if they did something locally that was of note. And I go all the way to 1949 because those that had their remains sent back to the States, it often wasn't until 1948 or 1949. So, and then you put in the person's name, Austin Goff. So once you do that and hit enter, it'll list possible links. So here's Austin Goff from December of 1942. So that would be information about him before he probably went overseas. 1940, I think that might refer to his first marriage. This is from 1945. After he was missing, it says missing in action. You'll find some information there. 1943, so this would have been before he was overseas. Again, information about him in the local paper. 1941, something about him. So a lot of people, unfortunately, don't have these many articles, but he did for some reason. October 3rd of 1945, this is probably the article where notice is made that he'd been missing in action in May, but they finally found his remains. So anyway, newspapers.com is a very rich location to find information often about the fallen. Sometimes the newspapers where they were nearest to may not have been added to newspapers.com, but it's being added all the time. So I would make that one of your regular stops whenever you do a research is, what does newspapers.com have to share about the person I'm researching? And again, the main things you need is just the states that they were from. He was born in West Virginia. He died and he was buried in Ohio. The time frame of 1940, 1949. Their name, if it's a common name, especially put in a middle initial. I'm guessing this name isn't very common, so I probably could have left the C out, and it probably still would have picked up the names. But as you can see, it's quite a useful tool to get information. Then when you click on these, I just open them up into a new tab. So here's this article here. This is the one from May 11th that detailed that he was missing, being reported back in his hometown newspaper. This is one from September, says yes, he's not just missing, but they finally located his remains. And then this is kind of interesting. You'll see this on some of the newspapers. Newspapers would often run memorials written by family members. So in April of every year for years after that, this is from 47, his family did a dedication to their departed. And there was one also from 46 where they did something. Doesn't happen all the time, but it is not unknown. I've seen these more than once where family members are writing tributes to their departed. So anyway, newspapers.com, excellent resource if you're helping out with Stories Behind the Stars.